This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. In the 7th year of being with Hailey, I finally discovered that she had secretly loved another man for years. And on the very day I was diagnosed with stomach cancer, her long-lost love returned to the country. As I went alone to the hospital for chemotherapy, I saw her and that man walking out of the obstetrics department. That was the moment I made up my mind to let her go. I asked for a divorce to set her free, but her eyes turned red with tears, and she said she would terminate the pregnancy and return to our family. But I was exhausted, and I felt tainted inside. This morning, while cleaning the house, a sharp pain tore through my stomach. I bent over in agony, cold sweat drenching my back. I wanted to ask Hailey for help, but she only poured me a cup of warm water, set it down in front of me, and said she was going shopping with her girlfriends. I no longer had the strength to speak. I watched her radiant in makeup, wearing a tight pencil skirt, glowing with a beauty I had never seen before. She looked especially happy today. Her eyes sparkled in a way I never knew. I couldn't bring myself to stop her, and she didn't notice how serious my condition was. The door closed behind her, and I collapsed to the floor clutching the table. A surge of nausea erupted from my stomach. A metallic sweetness rose to my throat. The pale tiles were soon stained with bright red blood. I fumbled for my phone and dialed 120. That was all I could do to save myself. At the hospital, the doctors ran a full checkup and finally gave me the result. I was in the late stage of stomach cancer. They said I needed urgent treatment, that it might prolong my life. Otherwise, I'd only have a few months left. Sitting in the corridor with the diagnosis in my hands, a wave of sorrow crashed over me. I wanted to call Hailey, just to hear her voice, but the line was busy. Only endless beeping echoed back at me. I opened WhatsApp, asked her what she was doing, but received no response. I felt like I had been abandoned by the world. Leaning alone against the cold hospital wall, a notification chimed. I opened it with hope, but it was just a message from a coworker. My hope quickly faded again. He had sent me a video. It showed Los Angeles International Airport. A man and a woman were locked in a passionate embrace. The banner beside them introduced the man as Tony, a renowned pianist returning from abroad. The woman was Hailey. As I saw Tony's face, my memory stirred. That morning, while tidying up the study, I had found a photo of a man tucked in a book. That man was Tony. Behind the photo in Hailey's elegant handwriting were the words, "My eternal spiritual anchor." I couldn't be mistaken. It was definitely her writing. But before I could confront her, fate struck again. My colleague had sent a voice message sounding worried. "Boss, is that your wife? Please don't get angry. Maybe it's all a misunderstanding. I'd feel terrible if I caused trouble. I'm your bro. I couldn't keep it from you. It just didn't feel right." I thanked him and told him I'd handle it. Not to worry, but inside, my heart was heavy with pain. Finally, Hailey called back. She sounded cheerful. "Hey babe, what's up? I was watching a movie earlier, didn't see your message." Soft piano music drifted from the background. I wanted so badly to know if Tony was there with her. "It's nothing. I just wanted to ask who you went out with today. I happened to get a day off. Thought I could join you." She hesitated, her voice vague. "Who else? Just Alice. Just the two of us girls. You wouldn't enjoy it anyway. Next time, okay?" I answered with a quiet and hung up. I didn't want to doubt my wife, but that video and the photo kept stirring my thoughts. I opened WhatsApp, clicked on Alice's name, and typed a message. "Valentine's Day is coming. I want to get Hailey a gift. Could you recommend something? Why don't you ask Hailey yourself? Or I can teach you how to test her. She's sleeping now, not feeling well lately. I don't want to disturb her." After sending it, my hands trembled. I hoped she would say she was with Alice, but that hope was crushed. Lucky Hailey. I've been away on a business trip. Won't be back for a month. I'll visit her when I return. I didn't know how to reply. My mind was in chaos. She had used a lie to cover for herself, yet I still clung to hope, hoping she would explain everything. Maybe I really misunderstood her. Hailey and I met 7 summers ago. At that time, my career had just begun to blossom. When I received the news of my mother's passing, my parents divorced early, and my mother raised me alone. That period was the darkest time in my life. I sat on a park bench with a coffee in hand, surrounded by bustling crowds, yet feeling terribly alone. Hailey was handing out flyers under the blazing sun. She noticed how down I looked and came over to talk to me. She was like a cheerful little sprite, gently guiding me out of sorrow. She told me she was also an orphan, never knowing what a parent's love felt like. She once had a brother who went abroad, leaving her behind. 2 lonely souls leaning on each other. My heart slowly began to fill. I often visited her, and over time, I fell in love. Confession, proposal, marriage registration. She agreed quickly. Everything happened so smoothly. I thought I had found the love of my life, but now it all seems like a dream. Perhaps Tony was the brother she spoke of, but not a real brother. More like her obsession, her secret crush, the one she truly truly wanted to be with. Bitterness welled in my chest. Burning pain surged through my stomach. I ran to the bathroom and vomited violently. Blood mixed with water splattered in the white sink. I looked at my wretched reflection in the mirror. Despair overwhelmed me. In the end, I was still alone. I picked up my medication from the pharmacy and returned home to clean the messy house. It was already 8 p.m. and Hailey still hadn't returned. Worried, I called her. Rocky, Alice had a breakup. She's feeling down. I'm staying with her for a few days. Take care of yourself at home, okay? There was panting in her voice. I asked what she was doing. She said she was doing fat-burning exercises with Alice. How ridiculous. Alice was on a business trip. What was she really doing? I dared not imagine. And this time, she called me by my name. Since our marriage, to give me a sense of security, she always called me hubby, never once said my name. Was she hiding something today? I thought Alice was still away on her trip. She just got back, broke up with her boyfriend while away. Alright, take care of yourself too. The pain and bitterness spread into my heart. My stomach twisted in agony again. I swallowed a handful of pills, curled up in bed, hoping to ease the pain. But darkness and loneliness wrapped around me. My veins bulged. In the end, I was still alone. I couldn't sleep the whole night. Thought about many things. Quitting my job, getting treatment, and confronting Hailey. I couldn't just keep guessing by myself. At work, my colleagues were talking about a pianist who had just returned, holding a concert at the end of the month. Tony's name came up out of nowhere. So he was that famous. Boss Rocky, are you taking your wife to the concert? I remember she loves piano music. My breath caught. My mind spun with images. I'll check it out later. Need to see what she wants. A young girl sighed. Boss Rocky and his wife are so sweet. I heard this Tony guy returned after 7 years abroad, ready to chase his love bravely. They said the day he landed, someone saw him passionately embracing his lover at the airport. Sigh, so romantic. When will I find a boyfriend like that? Or like Boss Rocky? The colleague who sent me the video, Hailey, suddenly looked at me, his eyes wide with realization. Seeing my expression, he quickly changed the topic, assigned the girl some work, and smiled awkwardly. Boss, your wife would never betray you. Stay strong. We still need you here. He whispered to comfort me. I might need to take some time off. You'll have to lead the team in my place. Hailey slapped my shoulder playfully. He might be carefree, but he was the one I trusted most. Come on, boss. Don't say things like that. We'll be waiting for you. Take care of things at home, and come back soon. I wanted to say more, but only nodded silently. I asked management not to mention my resignation, at least not until I'm gone. I checked into the hospital alone. Even the doctor was surprised. You're married, right? Why are you here alone? You need someone to take care of you. It's okay. I'll hire a nurse. On the first day of my hospitalization, I contacted Hailey and told her I was sick, that it was cancer. She laughed, thinking I was joking with her. Hailey, you've been gone for a week. When are you coming home? Can you stop being so clingy for once? I want a life of my own too, but I really don't have much time left. I have cancer. Stop threatening me with things like that. Who would believe it? The call ended abruptly. She even sounded annoyed. The pain from chemotherapy was unbearable. My hair began to fall out in clumps, and I would occasionally vomit blood. I survived each day hooked up to 4 drips, unable to eat a single bite, for a whole week. Hailey didn't call once. Cancer had worn me down, and I had no energy left to care. Out of boredom, I flipped through the calendar, and only then realized it was Valentine's Day. I didn't need Alice's help picking a gift. I had already prepared it, tucked neatly in the drawer of our bedside table, but she never noticed it. I couldn't help myself. I called her, longing to hear her voice. Hailey, it's Valentine's Day. I took the day off. Are you still at Alice's? I want to come see you. Her voice was rushed and impatient. I could hear the noise in the background. She was likely at an amusement park. Rocky, Alice is heartbroken. Wouldn't it be cruel to flaunt our love in front of her? It's just one Valentine's Day. Next year is the same. She hung up in a hurry. The beeping tone rang in my ear. How could it be the same? I might not live to see next year. During this period of treatment, my daily rhythm changed completely. I never knew when the pain would strike. Nights were spent sleepless in torment. If I hadn't suddenly remembered to check my phone, I wouldn't have known what day it was. It was already the end of the month. I remembered the young girl mentioning that Tony's concert was scheduled for the end of the month. I picked up my phone, and for the first time in a while, I browsed the entertainment news. By 3 p.m., just after finishing chemotherapy, a trending topic exploded on Twitter. Tony wins the beauty's heart. Sat proudly at the top. I clicked on it. There was a video shot by the media, along with news coverage. Tony knelt down on one knee, offering Hailey a bouquet of pure white roses. Tears streamed down her face as she dove into his arms. Two lovers finally united. Who would have thought that the heroine in the video was a married woman, and her husband was in the hospital, fighting a losing battle against cancer? Hailey called me. She was trying to explain. Rocky, he's the brother I told you about. The media got it wrong. wrong. They misunderstood everything. I didn't want to think anymore. After all, I was already nearing the end. Okay, Hailey, I believe you. When are you coming home? Neither of us spoke for a long while. Maybe my voice was too weak. Maybe Hailey sensed something. Maybe she was wondering why I still chose to believe her. In the end, one of us brushed the screen, and the silent call ended. At that moment, I thought I had accepted everything. But fate wasn't done playing tricks on me. It made me run into Hailey at the hospital. Summer had passed. They say golden autumn brings peace. I had been cooped up in the ward too long, so I asked the nurse to take me outside for some fresh air. The area around the hospital had nice greenery. A few white doves fluttered across the square. The breeze was a little too chilly, so I decided to head back. Then a gust of wind carried whispers to my ears. I froze in place. Did you hear about Tony? The guy who went viral recently. His girlfriend's pregnant. Someone saw them walk into the obstetrics department just now. I stumbled, barely able to stay on my feet. The nurse beside me overheard too, and couldn't help but joke. That guy works fast, huh? Only half a month since the end of August, and his girl's already expecting. Obviously they got together right when he returned. Putting on such a public show how fake. Whether from anger or something else, I suddenly felt nauseous. Sir, are you okay? Please help me to the OBGYN department. I want to take a look. Didn't expect you to be this gossipy, sir. I said nothing more. The road ahead was silent. From a distance, I saw a familiar silhouette. There was no way I could mistake her. It was Hailey. Tony was crouching beside her, his head pressed to her stomach. They smiled at each other. The air reeked of sweet, cloying love. That sweetness sickened me. Since we got married, Hailey had always resisted physical intimacy. Even told me she wanted to be child-free. I thought she feared pain, so I respected her wishes. But the truth was, she simply didn't want that kind of life with me. She just didn't want my child. My stomach clenched violently. I bent over, gasping for breath. Sir, what's wrong? The nurse's voice drew attention. People began to look, including Hailey. She looked stunned, as if she couldn't believe I was here. The nurse helped me to a nearby bench. I asked him to go and bring Hailey over. I had thought about walking over myself, but that place was where new life begins. They were the future of the world. They shouldn't have to see someone like me. They shouldn't hear such filthy things. I leaned against the cold wall, watching as Hailey gently caressed her belly and slowly walked toward me. Rocky, why are you here? He's got late-stage stomach cancer. The nurse chimed in. He was young, always blunt. He thought Hailey was Tony's girlfriend and didn't connect her to me. Rocky, what's going on? Her voice was raspy, tinged with tears. What was going on? I wasn't sure myself. After we got married, Hailey stopped handing out flyers at the park. She said she wanted to be a housewife. Even so, I never asked her to do housework. I spoiled her, kept her hands free from any hardship. I wanted to give her a good life. I drank and socialized, just to earn more. She loved luxury, never blinked when buying expensive things. I climbed from a regular employee to vice president, and my health deteriorated along the way. But I never blamed her. Even without her, I would have worked just as hard. I was just sad, and maybe a little bitter. If she never loved me, why say yes to my proposal? If she agreed, why couldn't she be loyal to our marriage? I told you before, it's stomach cancer. I'm dying. The doctor had warned me to stay calm, to avoid strong emotions. But maybe I had been pushed too far. The pain twisted in my gut. My teeth had bitten through my lip. Finally, as Hailey kept calling my name, my consciousness faded away. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my hospital room. I reached instinctively for the nurse, wanting some water, but sitting beside me was Hailey. It had been over a month since we last saw each other, and now that we met again, it felt like a lifetime had passed. She held out a glass of water to me, but I couldn't sit up to drink. A nurse hurried over and placed a straw in the cup. Hailey looked awkward. As expected, she had never taken care of anyone before. Hubby, I'm sorry. It was my negligence. I shook my head. I didn't know why she suddenly went back to calling me that, but I didn't want to hear it anymore. Hailey, let's get a divorce. Please just call me by my name from now on. Her eyes welled with tears. She sobbed softly, shaking her head over and over. No, please no. Let's not get a divorce. I didn't understand what she was clinging to. Wasn't her longtime crush already back in the country? Why couldn't she let me go? Hailey, you're pregnant, aren't you? Whose child is it? My eyes were sharp, locked onto her expression. She avoided my gaze. It's Tony's, isn't it? Alice has been away on a business trip this month. What heartbreak were you supposedly comforting her over? My emotions surged. I shouted, releasing all the bitterness I had been holding back. Hailey, I saw the photo in the study. He's the one you've always secretly loved. You've been waiting for him forever. I didn't care that you lied to me, but now he's back, and you're carrying his child. Why won't you let me go? My heart pounded violently, stirring the pain in my stomach, making me feel nauseous. Hailey covered her face with her hands, tears dripping through her fingers, but I noticed the blisters on her fingers, burn marks from cooking oil. It chilled me even more inside. In 7 years together, I had never let her step into the kitchen. She had never cooked a single meal for me. The woman I had loved and cherished had turned around and cooked for someone else. In the end, I just wasn't worth it. Hubby, I really never thought about divorcing you. She repeated that line again and again, but to me, it sounded more cutting than comforting. I couldn't help but scream like a madman. slamming my hands against the hospital bed. Didn't want a divorce. Then what did she want? To keep both sides. One man as her caring husband, another as her youthful love. She really thought she could have it all. Just then, Tony barged in. He held the weeping Hailey in his arms. His eyes filled with hostility as he looked at me. Rocky, right? Don't you know Hailey is pregnant? She can't be under stress. Are you trying to ruin her? I didn't understand how Tony could say these things with such self-righteousness. Hailey is my wife. She's pregnant with your child. I'm the one dying. Why does no one ask if I'm okay? Tony, as long as I'm alive, you'll always be the other man. I still wanted the divorce, but getting that off my chest, seeing the anger on his face, brought me a tiny sense of satisfaction. Hailey leaned into Tony's arms, burying her head in his chest. They really did look like a perfect couple. Hailey will divorce you soon, Tony said bitterly before leaving. I hoped she would, but deep down, I had a feeling I'd never be free of her, not even in death. Once they were gone, the room went quiet. The nurse looked at me in disbelief. Sir, I didn't expect someone who looked so decent to be such a dog. What a shameless couple. He was indignant on my behalf, and his words warmed me a little. At least someone was still on my side. Then something unexpected happened. The scene at the hospital had been filmed and uploaded to the internet. It sparked a huge uproar. Tony was labeled a homewrecker, and the Tony x Hailey couple became a national joke. The comments were brutal, full of curses and insults. People from my company also saw the video, and the news of my stomach cancer spread. They voiced their anger online, each of them speaking out for me. I work for Rocky. Our boss nearly drank himself to death just to earn money for Hailey. She cheated on him. How heartless can you be? Rocky is a hard-working, loving husband. Even a man like him gets cheated on. Rocky even prepared a Valentine's gift for her. Hailey must have no heart at all. Reading those comments, I didn't know whether to feel sad or happy. I was glad they stood up for me, but every sentence hit me like a knife. They made me feel like the whole world knew I had been nothing but a fool for love. Still, the result turned in my favor. Tony and Hailey went from a fairy tale couple to a shameful joke. Some people even created a timeline, exposing every detail of their affair. I didn't have the energy to do that. I didn't care to. But then Tony came to me, asking me to clear things up. He wanted me to say that Hailey and I had divorced long ago. The nerve. He stole my wife, and now wanted me to lie for him. I'd love to divorce her. Why don't you get her to agree first? Pestering me won't help. It's not like you're the one divorcing me. Lying in my hospital bed, I had never felt so at ease. Tony's expression changed. I figured he must have started arguing with Hailey. He tried to threaten me, but before he could act, my colleagues came in and blocked him. They had held their anger long enough. They had seen how I treated Hailey over the years. Now that I had cancer and got betrayed, they couldn't just stand by. The room filled quickly. It became crowded. Some of the younger ones couldn't hold back and landed a few punches on Tony. At least he learned a lesson. Tony had no choice but to leave, tail between his legs. Eventually, they found out about my resignation. The young girl among them burst into tears. I, the patient, had to comfort her. It might sound odd, but I enjoyed that moment. They made me feel like I had a family. The online drama escalated fast. Reporters and influencers soon tracked down my hospital. They rushed in with their cameras, and I was too weak to drive them out. Mr. Rocky, when did you first discover the affair? Mr. Rocky, what are your thoughts on Tony? Mr. Rocky, how will you deal with them in the future? Their questions were relentless. It was overwhelming, especially for someone in late-stage cancer. But then, a weak voice cut through the crowd. It was Hailey. The cameras turned at once, forcing her into a corner. Her face was pale. She was on the verge of collapse. Flashes blinded her. She clung to the wall in desperation. Thankfully, the nurse arrived just in time. Security drove the reporters out. I never thought Hailey could be so cruel. Not to me, but to the child in her womb. When she reappeared, her belly was flat. Her face was haggard. Hubby, I got rid of the baby. Can we not get divorced now? She forced a smile, a kind of broken beauty, but I didn't understand. Wasn't this the child she had waited 7 years for? Why did she give it up? Hailey, it's no use. Let's get a divorce. I didn't mean to lie to you. I was afraid you'd misunderstand. When Tony came back, I got too excited. I drank too much, and we slept together. I was blinded by my youthful crush. But the moment I heard you were sick, I couldn't bear the thought of losing you. It hurt too much. That's when I realized I had already fallen in love with you. She blamed everything on drunken mistakes and not knowing her own heart. But if the first time was a mistake, what about the rest of that month? If she hadn't found out I was terminally ill, would she have ever realized she loved me? What a lie. I said all this to her. She was speechless, trying to argue, but the words wouldn't come. Hubby, I went home yesterday. I saw the Valentine's gift on the bedside table. You still love me. So she had seen it. Maybe I loved you then, but not anymore. Her eyes dimmed, but no matter what I said, she refused to agree to a divorce. Hailey, I don't want to see you again. Whatever love I had was worn away by her endless lies and betrayals. She shook her head, trying to throw herself into my arms like before, but I moved away, coldly, without hesitation. I tried to get her to leave, but she insisted on staying to care for me. It irritated me. She had never taken care of anyone, and she had just lost a a child. Her body was weak. What was she pretending for now? Outside the window, the leaves had turned yellow, scattered by the autumn wind. Just like me, lonely all my life, my body falling apart. This was no longer the height of summer, and she was no longer my summer. The nurse didn't like Hailey, often making things difficult for her. Surprisingly, Hailey endured it all. That puzzled me. She had been here for 3 days, but Tony hadn't come to see her. Truly, a woman's heart is an ocean of secrets. On the 5th day, Tony walked into my hospital room, wearing a patient's gown and limping badly. I was surprised to see him. When he saw Hailey diligently taking care of me, his anger boiled over. He grabbed her by the collar, ready to hit her right there in the room. But the nurse stopped him. "Hailey, you have no heart. You got me drunk, tied me up, and left me starving at home. If the paparazzi hadn't broken in this morning, I might have died there." That was a lot to take in. I looked at Hailey's face and saw a flicker of hatred in her eyes. "Too bad you didn't starve to death while my husband is battling cancer. You don't deserve any peace either." Tony stared in disbelief, his eyes red, and punched the hospital wall in fury. "What did you say? I went abroad for you for 7 years. Endured humiliation overseas. Finally returned with my degree. And this is how you treat me." Hearing that, Hailey completely lost control. She shoved Tony hard, looking on the verge of madness. "You did that for yourself. I begged you back then. Begged you to take me with you. But you said I was a burden. 7 years have passed. I'm married now. I've fallen in love with my husband. Why did you come back to ruin everything?" I couldn't listen anymore. They just kept blaming each other, never once admitting their own faults. Maybe I really didn't love anymore. My heart remained calm, but I knew I couldn't stay here. Chemotherapy was already painful enough, and with them disturbing me, even dying wasn't peaceful. When Tony found out Hailey had aborted the child, he collapsed to the ground, completely defeated. That might have been his last hope, and it had shattered. Hailey gripped the table with one hand, held her belly with the other, and suddenly burst out laughing. Tears rolled down her face as she laughed hysterically, eyes full of revenge. They were both insane. Their shouting attracted a nurse, who scolded them and ended the farce. But I knew it was time for me to leave. I asked the nurse to discharge me, while Hailey went out to buy food. I left the hospital in a hurry. The nurse said I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't care anymore. I didn't want treatment. With the time I had left, I'd rather see the beautiful sights of my country. The nurse was a recent college graduate. I asked if he wanted to come with me. He agreed without hesitation. And just like that, the two of us set off on a journey. We arrived at the Washington Monument, just in time for the Independence Day flag-raising ceremony. It stirred something in me. I wanted to climb Yosemite to see the autumn leaves, but my body couldn't handle it. We sat briefly at the foot of the mountain before leaving. Instead, we went to the coast. The vast blue ocean calmed my mind. Then we flew to Hawaii to witness the grandeur of volcanoes and the sea. In Lahaina, we rented a small house, but my health was rapidly declining, forcing me to stop and rest. That evening, I received a call from a colleague. To my surprise, it was Hailey's voice on the other end. "Hubby, we're not getting divorced anymore, right?" I said nothing. It didn't matter to me now. I had no intention of continuing this entanglement. I was dying anyway. "Hubby, I'll make it up to you." She hung up after saying that. The next day, the nurse rushed in, holding out his phone. I finally saw what she meant by making it up. Tony was dead. News reports said the renowned pianist Tony was found dead in his villa. Suspected gas leak explosion. His body was unrecognizable, burned beyond recognition. He must have suffered terribly. Then another headline hit the trending list. Hailey had jumped from the hospital rooftop. Strangely, I felt calm, just surprised. They died before me. I never expected that, but it was their own doing. Colleagues flooded my phone with calls, especially the one who had lent his phone to Hailey that day. He was full of guilt, saying he shouldn't have let her use it. I reassured him, saying they brought it on themselves. But Shally was furious. He kept saying they deserved it. His bluntness almost made me laugh. They wanted to come visit me, but I was already at the end of my rope. Their visit would only add to the sadness. I couldn't take another farewell. 7 summers ago, my mother died of stomach cancer. I should have known this would be my fate too. I gave a portion of my savings to the nurse, payment for accompanying me through the last leg of life. Years of hard work, and I realized my savings were quite substantial. I donated the rest, along with my property, to charity. I hoped it would help others like me, people suffering from disease. Finally, on a quiet night, I saw my mother's figure. She said I had suffered enough. Suddenly, I remembered I should leave a large sum for the host of our rental house. I might die here, and that would bring him bad luck. After making all the arrangements, I lay peacefully on the bed, gazing at the bright moon outside the window, and gently closed my eyes forever. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every morning at 9 a.m.